They told me it was impossible. They said lightning doesn't strike twice, let alone 8 times. But I am here not to boast, but to awaken you to a truth that has been buried beneath doubt and disbelief. I won the lottery, not once, but 8 times, by repeating a simple phrase over and over, not out of desperation, but out of assumption. You see, it is not the words themselves that have power. It is the state from which the words are spoken. Every time I said them, I was not asking to win. I was declaring it had already happened. The words were not wishful thinking. They were a confirmation of a reality that existed in my mind long before it showed up in my bank account. Thank you, Father, I have already won. That was the phrase. Simple, quiet, repeated in the stillness of my heart. I did not beg, I did not plead. I swear, I imagined the numbers, the ticket in my hand, the shock, the joy, the life-changing announcement. I walked by faith, not by sight. I stayed loyal to the unseen image within me, even when the world outside laughed and called it delusion. Each time I repeated those words, I dropped deeper into the state of being a winner. Not someone hoping to win, but someone who had already won. The outer world didn't matter. I wasn't chasing results. I was becoming the reality I sought. And then it came, not through force, but through alignment. One win, then 2, then more, until the 8th time I laughed. Not in disbelief, but in joy. I knew it was inevitable. The secret is this: you do not speak words to change the world. You speak to change your state. And when your inner world shifts, the outer world must follow. It has no choice. So I tell you now, if you desire something, anything, speak it, feel it, live in the end of it. And when you repeat those words, do so as one who knows, not one who wishes. I won the lottery 8 times, repeating these words, not because I am special, but because I believed. The power of assumption is not about idle daydreaming or wishful thinking. It is the creative act of imagining with conviction, of assuming a state inwardly and allowing that inner conviction to dictate your outer experience. When you assume something to be true, not casually, but with feeling and faith, you begin to live from that assumption rather than toward it. You are not hoping it will happen. You are dwelling in the knowing that it already has. The world, in all its forms, mirrors this inner state back to you. Not immediately, not always in the way you expect, but always faithfully. Everything begins in consciousness. If you assume you are wealthy, loved, healed, or successful, and persist in that assumption with emotional acceptance, then what you have accepted in imagination hardens into fact. The outer world is not separate from your thoughts. It is your thoughts pushed out. What you assume and embody becomes what you experience. The mind, when impressed with an idea through repetition and feeling, carries that idea into the deep of being, into the subconscious, where it begins to reorganize circumstances in subtle, unseen ways. It is not enough to merely repeat words or affirmations. Words are empty unless they are filled with belief. Assumption means stepping into the role now, before any evidence shows up. It means wearing the feeling of your desire as a garment, inwardly walking as the person you have chosen to become. When assumption becomes natural, when it is no longer effort, but identity, then its manifestation is not a question of if, but when. Living in the end is the art of occupying the emotional and mental state of your fulfilled desire before any physical evidence appears. It is not about hoping for something to come. It is about moving your inner attention to the reality where it has already come. In imagination, you go to the place where your wish is already realized. You hear the congratulations, feel the gratitude, experience the satisfaction, and accept it as done, even while the world around you remains unchanged. This inner act is not passive, it is not fantasy, it is creation in its most powerful form. You shift your identity from someone who is trying to get to someone who already has. You no longer identify as the seeker, but as the one who has found. Every thought, feeling, and response then flows from this new state of being. You do not wait for the world to give you permission to feel the joy of your wish fulfilled. You claim it within, and the world responds in time. To live in the end is to be loyal to the unseen reality more than the visible one. You look beyond appearances and dwell in the reality of your imagination, trusting it more than what your senses report. You accept your desire as present and real, and you act in subtle and quiet ways as though it already is. The end becomes your new starting point, and from that place, all things begin to reorganize themselves around your assumption. You carry yourself differently, think differently, and make choices that align with the version of you who has already received. You don't need to force or manipulate the outer world. You simply remain in the state of fulfillment, and the bridge of events leading to its outer expression unfolds naturally, often in ways you could not have planned. The creative word is more than sound or language. It is the expression of inner conviction, the spoken form of belief made alive. Words, when charged with feeling and certainty, become vessels of creation. They go forth from the inner world and begin to shape the outer, not because of their sound alone, but because of the consciousness from which they are spoken. When a word is uttered from a place of knowing, it carries authority, it impresses itself upon the subconscious, which accepts it without question and begins to orchestrate events to reflect its truth. Every word you speak in the silence of your mind or aloud to the world is a seed. It may not take root if it is spoken in doubt, but when repeated in faith, it begins to sink into the deeper layers of being. It is not repetition for repetition's sake that creates, it is repetition with feeling, with imagination, with the full acceptance that what is spoken is already true. The creative word is a declaration, not a request. So it affirms what is and disregards what seems to be. So this kind of speech is not meant to persuade others or convince the world. Its power lies in its ability to shift your own state of consciousness. As your inner state changes, your world must follow, for it is only ever reflecting your internal condition. A single sentence, affirmed with unwavering belief, can bring about a complete transformation of your reality. You begin to embody the truth of the word, and the circumstances around you bend to match that embodiment. The spoken word, once fused with imagination and emotional certainty, becomes a force. It is no longer just an idea, it is a command issued from the center of your being. The world responds not to effort, but to alignment. And the word, when aligned with the feeling of the wish fulfilled, has no choice but to manifest its echo in the material realm. And so, I leave you with this truth. The power is not outside of you, it has always been within. The assumption you hold, the end you live in, the words you speak with feeling, they are not small acts, they are sacred tools of creation. I did not win the lottery 8 times by chance. I won because I aligned my inner world with the reality I desired, and I remained faithful to it even when nothing around me seemed to change. this is not just about money. It is about waking up to the divine ability within you to shape your world through imagination, belief, and persistence. If you dare to assume the best, to live in the fulfillment of your dream, and to speak from that place of certainty, then life will mirror back to you all that you have accepted as true. Thank you for listening. Thank you for believing. And above all, thank you for remembering who you truly are.